We've concluded at the time Mr. Brooks was shot that he did not pose an immediate threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or officers. If you would get the photograph, the taser.
The officer who shot Rayshard Brooks will be charged, they're announcing now. Like, comment, subscribe, watch the video.
This is the first photograph that we were able to clean this kind of quickly to see if you can get a straight one. What this photograph illustrates is the point that Officer Roth at this point was firing a taser, and this is Mr. Brooks, who was firing a taser as well, but I don't know if you can see it clearly. The prongs from the taser were actually fired above Officer Roth's head. I'd like for you to also look at the position of Officer Roth and Mr. Brooks, that they are here next to this red automobile. If we look at the next photograph, if we look at the next photograph, we'll see that the positions of both parties, they've changed. Mr. Brooks has now moved away from his original position, and we estimate the distance is probably about 12 feet. And Officer Roth has moved about 10 feet from the position in what is our exhibit number 1. This second video or second still shows the very instance that the shot was fired into the back of Mr. Brooks. And we have also calculated the distance, and the distance that they are apart at that time was 18 feet 3 inches at the time that this shot was fired. So based upon that information, we have concluded that Mr. Brooks was running away at the time that the shot was fired. Mr. Brooks was shot twice in the back. One of the shots was a center shot to the back that penetrated his heart, and it was done by a 9mm Glock. Now, one of the things that we also relied upon in our conclusion is something that is called under the law or referred to as an excited utterance. And that's when someone makes an immediate statement, and because it is made without the ability to consult with counsel or to think about it, under the law, an excited utterance is considered as highly reliable. And at the time that the shot was fired, the utterance made by Officer Roth was, "I got him." That was the statement that was made at that time. We also noted that Officer Roth was firing a taser at Mr. Brooks. The City of Atlanta SOPs, in fact, prohibit officers from firing tasers at someone who is running away. So the City of Atlanta says you cannot even fire a taser at someone who's running away. So you certainly can't fire a gun, a handgun, at someone who is running away. So In addition to our findings, as many of you all already know, that the Atlanta mayor, Mayor Keisha Bottoms, and the police department concluded that Officer Roth's actions were excessive and in violation of APD's SOP. That's an SOP, I believe it's 4.1.1. And after their analysis that the actions were excessive, Officer Roth was fired. We have also concluded that Roth was aware that the taser in Brooks's possession, that it was fired twice. And once it's fired twice, it presented no danger to him or to any other persons. Now, we have had something quite remarkable to happen, and it involves the testimony of the other officer, Devin Brosnan, because Officer Brosnan has now become a state's witness. He has decided to testify on behalf of the state in this case. What he has said to us, that is within a matter of days, he plans to make a statement regarding the culpability of Officer Roth. But he indicated that he is not psychologically willing to give that statement today. Officer Brosnan, however, has admitted that he was in fact standing on Mr. Brooks's body immediately after the shooting. So these are the charges that we have had filed today, signed by one of our Superior Court judges. These are the 11 charges against Officer Roth. The first charge is felony murder. This is the death that is as a result of an underlying felony, and in this case, the underlying felony is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and the possible sentences for a felony murder conviction would be life without parole, or the death penalty. Now, he's also charged in the arrest warrant with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and this is a count charging him for the shooting of Mr. Brooks, and the possible sentence for aggravated assault is 1 to 20 years. The third aggravated assault account is for the shooting towards or in the direction of Mr. Melvin Evans. Mr. Evans was the person who was seated in the car. Do we have the picture of this? Oh. And if you would point out, this automobile is the place that Mr. Evans and his two companions were driving, and a shot was fired. And I believe we've also got a photo of the shot that ended up in the vehicle. I think you gotta stand it up. And so with count 4, with the who was in the
Come on.
Count 5 is an aggravated assault charge, and this was a charge for shooting towards or in the direction of Michael Perkins. Mr. Perkins was seated in the rear of this same vehicle at that time. There's a charge for criminal damage for shooting into that vehicle. Also, Officer Roth is charged with 7 violations of office. Each one of those carries a 1 to 5 sentence. These are violations of his oath of office for the city of Atlanta. arresting Mr. Brooks for the DUI without immediately informing him of the arrest, shooting a taser at Mr. Brooks while he was running away, which again is a violation of Atlanta's own SOP. Thirdly, excessive force when shooting a firearm at Mr. Brooks. And number 4 is the failure to render timely medical aid. Those are the 4 violations of oath. The 8th is for kicking Mr. Brooks, and the possible sentence for kicking Mr. Brooks is from 1 to 20 years. And we actually have a photograph of the and if you would go to the next one. And these are the charges for Officer Brosnan, and there are a total of 3 charges. And the first charge is for aggravated assault, and this is for standing or shoulder. And the possible sentence for this crime is 1 to 20 years. And this is a photograph of Officer Brosnan, who you can see to the right. And at the time of the photograph, he is standing on the body of Mr. Brooks.
After they shoot him twice, they know he's not armed because they already searched him. They stand on the body. And terrible people. I ain't got words to say how terrible that is. God awful. I hope they get the justice that they deserve and they get their ass locked away forever.
Yeah, in our conversations with Officer Brosnan, he has admitted that he stood on the body of Mr. Brooks. He said he believes that he was standing on Mr. Brooks's arm, but that is what the photograph shows. We've also charged him with additionally 2 violations of oath. One is for the standing on the shoulder. That is an unauthorized weaponless control technique which the city of Atlanta prohibits. And the second violation of oath was for the failure to render timely medical aid to Brooks. And we are asking Officer Roth and Officer Brosnan to surrender themselves by 6 p.m. on tomorrow. Because Officer Brosnan is now becoming a cooperating witness for the state, we are asking the court to grant a bond of $50,000 and to allow Mr. Officer Brosnan to sign that bond. As I indicated, that he would become one of the first police officers to actually indicate that he is willing to testify against someone in his own department.
So, what I'm hearing, they should be able to get a guilty verdict if they have a witness who is a cop. The second guy, he was actually standing on the guy also, but he did not fire the shots, but he's being used as a witness, so they'll probably throw his charges out, I bet. and they're gonna get the guy who shot the shots. He's going down, and I applaud the efforts of Atlanta to swiftly take these guys off the street. Get that main guy that shot him in the back, stands on him, says, "I got him," after you shoot him. Just an evil human being. I don't care what nobody says. The dude was running. Like, comment, subscribe, and this is my reaction to the charges against the officers. Jimbo 203. Let me know what you think in the comments.